call lymphedema, where my body doesn't flush out like fluids properly, so it collects them and causes a whole bunch of swelling. They were born into an abyss of despair with their female genitalia completely removed without a proper heart, or with skin so unusual that the world looked at them as if they were monstrous. These children grew up amidst cruel laughter, coldly judgmental lies, and senseless abuse simply because they did not conform to the majority. Yet, what people did not expect. That very difference became their weapon. Not a burden, not a curse, but a flame that ignited, burning away every prejudice, every boundary society erected to bury them alive. The highest boxer. They stood up, breaking invisible chains, and from the ashes of pain, they built miracles that made the world bow in astonishment. Who are they? People who carry a strength capable of defying humanity's prejudices? Let's explore 15 Black individuals with the most unusual body traits. And prepare yourself, because their stories are not for the faint of heart. 1. Denzel Washington, the unhealed broken finger, and the journey of turning a deformity into legend. Many times over the years that if I just open my hand like that, it would pop that far. When my kids were young, they would ask me, "Daddy, could you show my friends the magic finger?" In Hollywood's history, some step into the limelight with bodies seemingly carved from marble, perfect, straight, spotless. And then there is Denzel Washington, a man whose gaze alone can make the world's heartbeat falter, yet he carries a small flaw in his hand that few notice, a pinky permanently bent, tilted to the side like a memory that will never straighten again. But that flaw became his symbol. Denzel grew up in Mount Vernon, in streets where the line between right and wrong was just one misstep away. Many childhood friends spiraled into places they never returned from. Denzel once stood at that same edge until the stage saved him. The stage didn't demand physical perfection. It demanded heart, voice, and the pain one carried. And Denzel carried plenty. During a teenage basketball game, he fell and braced himself on concrete, twisting his pinky joint at an angle. Doctors realigned it, but it never healed properly. From then on, no matter how tightly he clenched his fist, that pinky stubbornly curved off to the side, as if reminding him of something unerasable. In Hollywood, where even a misplaced mole is covered with layers of makeup, that finger was an oddity. Not pretty, not polished, not camera-friendly, but Denzel never hid it. He held up that crooked hand in front of cameras, smiled, and called it his magic finger. A small joke carrying a bold challenge. I'm not perfect, and I don't need to be. Sometimes he used it to crack jokes. Sometimes it slipped into the frame, trembling when his characters suffered, raged, prayed, fought. And that tiny tremble made emotion more human, more real, more painful. A crooked finger, an insignificant flaw among hands sculpted like wax statues, became the silent heartbeat of a legend. It wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a crack where light entered. And perhaps that is why Denzel Washington is loved so deeply. He didn't just deliver powerful performances, he brought his real wounds, the unfixable, the unhideable, to tell stories that reached people's souls. Because sometimes it is the imperfect that makes a person immortal. Chapter 2. Sammy Davis Jr., The Stolen Eye and the Journey of Turning Tragedy into Stage Light. Rammed into me, each fella hit things I posted and knocked his eye out. Before you panic, nothing else wrong with you. Some step onto the stage appearing flawless, yet carry countless hidden fractures, like Sammy Davis Jr. Born in 1925 in noisy New York, he was on stage by age 4, a creature seemingly destined for spotlights. Singing, dancing, acting, comedy, he did everything with an effortless grace, as if each movement had been carved into his bones. Every time he appeared, an audience fell silent, witnessing a phenomenon more than a man. But behind the dazzling title Mr. Show Business, his life was jagged enough to slice through darkness. Tragedy struck in 1954. A car accident stole what no one imagined possible: his left eye. The brutal impact smashed his head into the steering wheel, and the cold metal horn button pierced his eye like an invisible blade fate had forged long before. When he awoke, he did not face physical pain alone, but a crueler truth. Half his world was gone. The left eye had to be removed. A glass eye replaced it, beautiful but empty, a silent void on the face of a man made to shine. 6 months with an eye patch, and forever after a life with distorted vision, always walking as if the ground were uneven. The accident wasn't just an injury, it was a hammer blow to a rising star. But the strange and beautiful part was how Sammy faced the pain. No hiding, no running, no lamenting. He returned to the stage while his wounds were still raw, standing beneath the lights like a man who had lost something vital, yet glowed brighter than before. His flaw gave him an edge. A one-eyed artist whose aura was at once fragile, sharp, and defiantly dignified. One eye gone, yet the remaining one sharpened, bright, fierce, and carrying the depth of someone who had measured darkness with his own body. Sammy even joked, "I'm the only black Puerto Rican one-eyed Jew in the world." What seemed like humor was a shield, turning tragedy into story, wounds into legacy. From that moment, he wasn't just talented. He was resilience incarnate, a man whose unhideable scar lifted him higher, farther, brighter. Among those who forged strength from deformity, Sammy Davis Jr. stands in a place of his own. A man from whom fate stole a piece of his body, but who forged his soul into steel. And this is only one legend. Ahead lies another, someone who carved strength from pain etched into her life. Koudia Diop, the dark-skinned girl who rose against the world. Hollywood once worshipped faces seemingly immune to flaws, beauty so polished it felt numb. But Koudia Diop was the exception. She was born in a world where light seemed afraid to touch her skin. In Senegal, her childhood was drowned in mockery, cold laughter, probing stares, words sharp enough to carve scars into the heart. People told her to bleach her skin, erase what they called a defect. Every glance into the mirror revealed a wound that never healed, until the day her sister planted the first seed of belief in her hands. You are beautiful in your own way, small, fragile, but it settled in her heart and quietly grew. At 15, Koudia moved to Paris, and the darkness of her skin became something the world turned away from. She stood out, not the admired kind, but the ridiculed. Loneliness gnawed at her. In that silence, she looked at herself under a different light, the light of history, roots, identity. For the first time, she asked, "If this is what sets me apart, perhaps it is also what can make me powerful." Then Koudia stepped into modeling. She called herself the Melanin Goddess, not out of vanity, but as armor, a weapon forged from years of being worn down by prejudice. From a few hundred followers, she rose into hundreds of thousands, the world suddenly seeing the glow she had fought to see in herself. Her photos, where darkness and light collided, made viewers pause, not to mock, but to admire. Each time before the camera, Koudia faced the little girl who once feared mirrors, whispering, "We made it." Every step became part of a larger portrait, a portrait of redefining beauty from scar and strength, shaping legend from pain. Today, when Koudia Diop stares into a camera, she does not stand alone. In her gaze lives every girl who ever tried to dim herself just to be accepted. Koudia's story is not merely fame. It is the alchemy of turning wounds into power, darkness into light,